Hello there. Now, I'm just getting into the whole Therapeutics Products Bill, which is, one of those dog whistle things that a lot of the conspiracy theorist groups have really jumped on for a number of reasons, apparently. And it's quite fascinating because the Therapeutic Products Bill is huge. It's actually designed to replace two existing pieces of legislation, the Medicines Act 1981 and the Dietary Supplements Regulations Act 1985. So they're massive, but they're also really out of date. So the act needs to be updated. And pretty much everything from both those acts are being scrapped, with the exception of how pharmacies work and what you consider a pharmacy and what they can do. Everything else is being scrapped and rewritten from the ground up. So it's big. But there's always an interesting way to find out whether or not an act is doing the right thing or the wrong thing based on who it is that's complaining about what's going to happen. And there's some fairly obvious examples, Farmers tend to complain about things like emissions trading schemes, which is going to cost them more money. That makes sense. But why do conspiracy theory grifters have a thing against the Therapeutics Act? I wonder if there were some links there, like selling supplements that they shouldn't be selling. You see, the core of their argument is that you've got the right to make your own medical decisions, and whether or not you decide to go with something that doctors and experts and regulatory committees tell you is safe, or whether or not you decide to do something like inject yourself with horse paste because that's what you think you should be able to do, makes no difference to them. Which is a little scary. It's very much the evolution of my body, my choice, except most of these groups for some reason have really tight controls around what they think of abortion. We all know that these groups are pushing an informed consent angle because they feel that everybody was pushed into getting the vaccine. But the fact of the matter is, these laws are old. So things like the Dietary Supplement Bill, for example, is really specific about things around dietary supplements, which, being regulated is good, but doesn't necessarily mean that products that are being sold as, say, cure-alls for COVID, like, Claire Deeks did when she was with Aotearoa before Voices for Freedom started, that doesn't necessarily meet the same requirements. And informed consent only works if you've got all the information out there, which is what the new Act is trying to ensure. So while some supplement companies, for example, are going to have to look at getting stuff regulated to prove the claims that are on the box, it doesn't mean that your mint in the garden or the thyme that you're growing out there you're going to have regulated because you think it makes you feel better. That's just bullshit. And here's the really weird thing. Trying to get regulated supplements around the world is surprisingly hard. They fight it everywhere they can. In the States, they ran a campaign in the late 80s, early 90s to start getting things regulated, which the people who make these supplements fought against, spending billions of dollars in lobbying and advertising. Congress got more letters about supplements than it did about the Vietnam War. Here's the other thing. Those companies that we know that make supplements already, like the ones that you find in your supermarkets, they're actually okay with most of the stuff that's in the bill. Bit too much red tape for them. They'd like to see that pulled back, but completely understand the need for regulation. It's only those conspiracy theorist groups out there that are sitting there spreading misinformation about what you can and can't do with your own choices that have in the past gone out and pushed absolute crap as cure-alls that seem to have a problem with it at the moment. Does tell you why this bill should probably go through.